want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. Fogham. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
L'entrepreneuriat digital vous intéresse-t-il? Vous voulez apprendre à construire des projets digitaux? Aimeriez-vous gagner des revenus passifs conséquents en tout lieu? Voici la plateforme des professionnels du digital, la Diaspora Academy. Ici, vous retrouverez les meilleurs professionnels de la diasporama mondiale connectés sur notre plateforme. Vous allez pouvoir acquérir des formations adéquates qui feront de vous des entrepreneurs digitaux compétents. Étudiants, entrepreneurs, coachs, instructeurs et entreprises, Diaspora Academy est une opportunité pour vous. Elle vous offre la possibilité de suivre votre formation en mode virtuel à partir de chez vous, où que vous soyez sur la planète. Toutes nos formations disponibles en ligne sont dispensées de manière interactive. Il suffit de vous inscrire et vous pourrez les suivre depuis chez vous. Au cours de la formation, vous passerez des quiz et examens selon votre parcours. En outre, à partir de votre tableau de bord, vous suivrez vos performances et progressions. Vous pourrez aussi communiquer avec vos instructeurs et recevoir des notifications. À la fin de votre parcours de formation, vous recevrez un certificat Diaspora Academy Certified. Que vous soyez débutant ou responsable d'entreprise, Diaspora Academy est une opportunité pour vous. Saisissez-la! Enfin, que vous soyez coach ou instructeur, ayez accès à un millier d'étudiants à travers notre plateforme. Merci de choisir Diaspora Academy, le meilleur choix. Pour plus d'informations, allez sur www.diasporaacademy.com. Diaspora Academy, la plateforme des professionnels du digital.
Avez-vous besoin de nourriture? Appelez le 311 et demandez le centre d'appel d'accès de nourriture. Notre centre d'appel peut vous mettre en contact avec des ressources telles que Snap qui vous aidera à payer vos courses. Vous pouvez également recevoir de la nourriture et des plats préparés d'organisation de tout le comté. Le personnel du centre d'appel parle plusieurs langues et aide les membres de la communauté en anglais, espagnol, chinois, coréen et dans d'autres langues. Pour plus d'informations, visitez notre site www.montgomerycountymd.gov/covid19-food et vous serez informé des dernières ressources alimentaires. Encore une fois, appelez le 311 pour être connecté au centre d'appel d'accès de nourriture.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Diaspora Grassroots voting on Afrique Today, the #1 digital TV station based in Washington, D.C. I am your host, Busi Matsiko, and live from our studio in New York City. Today we will be discussing everything from immigration to voting as well as solutions. We have a special guest who will wow you with his experience as well as what he does in this immigrant community. Did you know we are live streamed on 4 platforms? That is AfriqueToday.com as well as Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. We are also on Smart TV. Well, stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to Afrique Today, the African Diaspora Grassroots voting. This is Busi again. And today we have a special guest, the Executive Director of the renowned immigrant organization, CASA, Mr. Gustavo Torres. Welcome, Mr. Gustavo. It's an honor to have you on Afrique Today.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And I want to say something about you, Mr. Gustavo. You are nationally and internationally acclaimed and recognized for your leadership, both here and both in the United States and globally. Your vision is unparalleled with regard to immigrant issues and the immigrants' rights movement in the United States. I mean, please tell us more about what you have done with CASA and how long you've worked with CASA and what CASA is and your background.
Absolutely. Thank you again for this opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you about my organization and my background. CASA is the largest Latino and immigrant organization in the Mid-Atlantic. We are a membership organization. We currently have more than 100,000 members in the Washington, D.C. area and in Pennsylvania, as well as in Virginia. What we do is that we provide a lot of services, including English classes, computer classes, vocational training, jobs, a lot of opportunities for the immigrant community, regardless of the immigration status, because we are here to make sure that we provide services for our community. But also, in addition to the services, we also build power. And we believe that is very important, and that is the only way how we can change this society. We can change this racism in our communities. When we build power in the immigrant community, when we build power in the African community, when we build power in the Latino and immigrant community, that is the way how we can make a difference. So we have been working and doing that for the last 35 years. We are very, very proud of the work that we're doing. And I am personally, originally from Colombia. I arrived to this beautiful country back to 25 years ago when I left my country because the violence and due the different situations in my country. So I decided to leave, and and arrived right over here. And since then, I started to work in CASA. I initially was an organizer, and then we be a manager of the employment center that we have. And back to 20 years ago, our board of directors offered me the position as an executive director. And since then, I am the executive director of this extraordinary organization.
I mean, that's amazing. But what you have not even mentioned is that you have a staff of over 150, and the membership is over 97,000, which is an amazing feat, you know. And not only that, I mean, the impact is tremendous. I first encountered CASA when I lived in the Newark area. I saw how it helped with utilities for people who are not able to even pay for it, you know. So it has impacted so many people. And then also with regards to the voting and all that stuff, I must tell you, it's amazing. And you've also been involved in the Maryland Dream Act, 2012 Dream Act. I mean, please highlight that, because I think it's important that the people watching know about this.
So you know a lot about CASA. Thank you very much. You're totally right. We passed the Dream Act in Maryland back to like now 10 years ago. But a great news is that in Virginia, we passed the Dream Act in this year. We passed the driver license for undocumented immigrants in this year. We increased the minimum wage in Virginia in this year. So we are very, very proud. Virginia, as you know, used to be the most radical anti-immigrant state for the last, 200 years. And we have been building power with our community. And now we turn around this beautiful, beautiful state. And now the immigrant community, the African community, the Latino community is welcome right over there, because elections matter. Vote in this country matter. And that is an example of when you come together, when the community come together and vote for people who really trust you and people who really are going to deliver, you can make a difference. So absolutely. Just want to tell you that our organization have another sister organization called CASA in Action. Because right here in this country, as you know, nonprofit organization like us, we cannot tell any person to vote for any politician because it's illegal. It's what we call 501c3 organization. It's the status of our organization. So, well, we decided to create another organization called CASA in Action, the C4 organization. And through the C4, we can educate our members and our community about who are people who truly believe in our community, who really, really, really fight for our community. So we tell our members and our community for what candidate they can vote with our sister organization, CASA in Action. So is that the two different organizations that we have? One providing services, advocacy, organizing, and the another one doing education, political work, and elections. So I just want to make sure that you understand what is our family of organizations, because that is the only way how legally we can do the work that we do it.
Wow, that speaks volumes about your leadership, you know, especially you started from the grassroots as a community organizer, and then all the way to being an executive director. I mean, I think also people who think it's a waste of time to volunteer, or it's a waste of time to start at the grassroots, should listen to your story, because that, to me, is very important. I mean, what has been your work with your relationship and work with the African community, the African community relationship with the Latino community, and how long has this relationship been going on?
Lucy, thank you for that
question. And what services do you provide?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. We have been developed, we call, in a strategic relationship with the African community for the last 15 years. For the last 15 years, immigrants from different countries in Africa have been arriving to our facilities. We have 15 different facilities in the Washington, D.C. area and in Pennsylvania. And the African members and the Latino members join the organization, and they come together because we believe that it's just one community. Actually, our motherland is Africa. I have my roots from Africa. My mama was Black, right? So I feel that it's very important that we welcome my family from Africa. And I am very, very proud that we have been developing an extraordinary relationship with the African community. We provide so many services, including jobs, including helping people to become U.S. citizens, including issues related with immigration. Now, with the crisis of coronavirus, we have been helping them in testing. We just want to let you know that we are embarking in a new and a very, very important project with Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore to make sure that we collaborate to have the vaccine for the coronavirus.
Congratulations!
And many Africans and Latinos are part of this process. So we believe that is our contribution to the humanity with our members, with the African members and with the Latino members. So together we are making a difference for the humanity, and we are very proud that we are doing this. So for the last 15 years, we have been building power. We have been providing services to the African community and to the Latino community. The relationship sometimes is difficult, but I want to tell you that right now we are very proud about how the solidarity and that relationship is growing tremendously. You know why? Because we are just one community. We are brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
We are one community, and we are here because we have different challenges in our country, in Africa, in Latin America, and we are here to build community.
For the American dream.
We are here as an immigrants to build a better society, because this society, this country, have a lot of challenges and a lot of problems and a lot of racism. And I believe that the African community and the Latino community together can improve this democracy, because this democracy have a lot of challenges. This democracy mostly is for the rich people, but the African community and the Latino community are working together, are building power to change this. And I believe that that is the way to do it.
Thank you so much for your insight on this matter, and for the services you have been providing the communities, and bridging the gap as well as the solidarity. I mean, CASA has worked tirelessly to expand voter participation and voting rights, which demonstrates a strong commitment to our democracy. Please highlight and elaborate that. I know you've already talked about your sister organization, CASA in Action. So please give us more insight on this.
Absolutely. It's very, very important. For us, we believe that the only way how we are going to improve this democracy is when we participate very actively in the decision making, when we participate not only in the vote, but also in the mobilizations, but also in the rallies, but also in a very civic activities that is happening right now. Supporting the Black Lives Matter is for us very essential. Being together as two communities is so very, very critical. So our organization had been for the last 12 years, CASA in Action, building power and helping people to register to vote and to vote in Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. So our job in these 3 states is to make sure that the immigrant community and the people of color vote in elections. And we have been very successful mobilizing thousands and thousands of people to vote. We touch around 2 million people through our digital work, because we believe that also through, Facebook, Twitter, all of these communications, our community are so engaged. So it's very important that we also touch them with messages through the digital work and knocking doors. So for us, it's very important. So we knock doors now with this crisis. We have been calling people all the time. We tell them.
I was just about to ask you, how has this been impacted by COVID-19, and what are you doing differently? I guess you can answer it. Yes.
two things that we are different. Number one is calling people, using the technology is very, very important. But also now we are going to start to knocking doors in areas where the situation is not that bad. We are very, very careful because we have been doing that with the census as well. And I just want to put a parenthesis right over here because it's very important. We need to make sure that everybody is counted in this country. Is so essential. I understand that it's around 10 million Black Africans in the United States. All of them need to be counted. It's so essential. So we have been working on that as well. Just want to let you know, we hire a lot of people to go and knocking doors and to make sure that people count and to make people register because it's essential. Anyway, I just do this parenthesis because the census is going to end in September 30th. Still, we have the time to do it.
Wow.
So very important. I just want to take this opportunity in this media to communicate to the African community. Please, for your kids, is so very important for education, for health, for social services, that you register and count in the census. Do it for your family, do it for your kids. Now, let me go back to the elections. I just want to
Have you heard, Diaspora, what Mr. Gustavo's Torres's appeal is? Please participate in the census. You have until September 30th to get counted. There are 10 million Black immigrants, Black African, Black people in this country, but you need to be accounted for. And it's important for your education. It's important for your health services. It's important for everything. Listen to this, heed this appeal.
Absolutely. If we don't do it, then you know what happened? We are going to lose billions and billions of dollars in our communities. So the schools are not going to be good. The services are not going to be good. So we have this opportunity to make sure that we be count. And you know what? This administration, the Trump administration, do as much as they can to prevent us to count, including for immigrants who are undocumented. They say no, but finally we won in court because we sued this administration, and the court say you are wrong. Everybody in this country, regardless of the immigration status, need to be counted. And I think that is very important. So anyway, to the diaspora, please do so. It's so very critical. Now go back to the elections. Elections are as important as the census. Elections are so critical. We are in a point that we can make a difference in these elections, and we can elect a different president that is not racist, that is not promoting violence in our community, that is not attacking the immigrant community, that is not attacking the Black community, that is not attacking the poor people. So we have this opportunity, and that is the reason we, as a CASA in Action, we are calling everybody to make sure that, first of all, you are registered to vote if you are U.S. citizen. Remember, I'm speaking about for people who are U.S. citizens, who are immigrants, U.S. citizens. Register to vote and vote. And if you need any information about how you can do it in your state, regardless where are you located, in New York, in Maryland, in Washington, D.C., in Colorado, wherever you are located, you can go to our webpage, www.casainaction.org, and you find all of that information. If you really, really want to do it, you can do it. We can help you. We can guide you in different languages, by the way, not only in Spanish, not only in English, in French. So we have all of that information, and I think that is very, very important that you know.
Fantastic information to know.
So critical.
Thank you, Gustavo, for that piece of information. It's critical. I mean, it's important for people to know a lot of things about this election cycle. What more do you want them to know about this election cycle that you're probably not touched on?
Sure. I want to tell you that you can vote by mail for your safety. Is very important. You can do it, and different states have different dates. You can go to our website and know when. So just one example. In Pennsylvania, is going to start next week. In Maryland, it started in 2 weeks from now. So you don't need to wait until November to vote. You are going to receive by mail the ballot and then you vote. It's so very essential that you exercise the right that you have. Do it again for your family, do it for your community. I always tell this, people who are US citizens have the responsibility to vote because you are the voice and the vote of your community who cannot do it. We have so many people in our community who are undocumented and they depend on us who are US citizens to vote. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we do it. It's our responsibility to send a very strong message to this nation. We as an immigrants, as an African immigrants, the diaspora, as a Latino immigrants, we are going to vote because we are not going to accept this racism. We are not going to accept that keep killing the Black community. We are not going to accept that they are going to destroy our schools. We are not going to accept that this administration attacking us all the time. We are going to vote. And that is my message to you. You have a responsibility to vote. Please do it.
Wow, that is a very compelling appeal from you, Gustavo. I mean, what can we do as diasporans who are able to vote right now? What can be done between now and the presidential elections to galvanize people to vote, especially the youth, and as well as what can be done for people who are trying to mobilize others to vote?
Well, it's so essential. First of all, we need to start it in home. Our responsibility is to make sure that everybody in our home who are US citizens are registered to vote. People who qualify to vote in this country need to register to vote. So you, as a member of the family, I strongly encourage you to make sure that everybody in your family who qualify can vote is registered to vote, and then to make sure that he's going to vote, and then to make sure that he vote correctly, right? That is another piece.
Yeah,
and
so it's about voting correctly too. That's another key thing.
Absolutely. You are not going to vote for Trump, period. It's totally unacceptable. He is attacking our community every single day, and we are going to say enough is enough. And the way how we're going to say is we are going to remove you from office because you have been insulting us, you have been treating us like animals, and you are going to be removed from office through elections, through the system.
You believe this is a referendum?
Absolutely. It's very important. So you, as a member of the family, so very important that your family register. Then you need to think about your friends, your best friends, and ask them, are you registered to vote? Are you going to remove this guy from office? And you need to make sure that people are going to do it. If people want to be volunteer, they can be through CASA in Action. We have the opportunities. Or if you are in different states, is many organizations. For instance, in New York, we have partners of different organizations also working in New York, in another different states. But if you want to do it through CASA in Action, you're welcome to do it. Be a volunteer. From your home, you can call your friends, your partners, everybody, and encourage them to vote in these elections, because this election probably is the most important election in our generation.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, I can't wait to listen to what's more you have to unload during the second half of this discussion. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned.
Okay.
back to the African Diaspora Grassroots Voting. Again, I am your host, Busi Matsiko, and with the Executive Director of CASA, Mr. Gustavo Torres, who has been unloading everything you need to know regarding what CASA has been doing for the last 2 decades in the U.S., especially with regards to immigrant solutions, and dealing with the immigrant issues, which also includes his sister organization, CASA in Action, which has been highlighting the importance to vote and everything regarding voter, what you need to know about elections and voting. Mr. Gustavo, welcome back to the second half.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And one thing I wanted to ask you is, how are the events around the racial injustices we are seeing having an impact on the election cycle as per your observation, and what can be done?
Tremendously. That is one of the most painful situations that we are facing in this society. The institutional racism, that, by the way, is not only the police brutality. When we speak about institutional racism, we speak about the lack of opportunities for the Black community, the lack of opportunities for people of color in this country. If you compare, the economic situation of the white person and the Black person, you are going to see the big difference. And it's because the racism. It's because, remember that, many years ago, more than 2 centuries ago, 3 centuries ago, the African community arrived to this country as slaves. They didn't come as immigrants. They come as slaves, and they have been killed and abused since then. And I think that is very important that our people know that, because these kind of attacks, abuses, and crimes against the African and the African American community is not something that is happening in this year or 2 years ago. We are speaking about centuries of abuses and crimes against the Black community. And I really hope that in these elections we send a very strong message to say enough is enough. We are going to have the opportunity to make history in these elections when we elect the first Black vice president. And I really, really hope that we can do that. And I really, really hope that our communities understand that we have an extraordinary opportunity to say enough is enough. Those crimes need to stop. And I just want to emphasize again, it's not just police brutality. It's a systematic racism that is happening in this society. And we need to keep working to stop this. And the only way how we are going to do it is that way all of these minorities communities come together, elect people, and people who looks like us, by the way. We have the opportunity to elect a lot of people who look like us in positions to make decisions that are going to impact our communities.
Thank you so much regarding that piece of information. And how can we all work together in the diaspora towards a common goal?
I believe that is a couple of things that we can do. Number one, of course, is that we need to have a communication. We need to always, the different organizations, have communication, speak, participate in different trainings together, fight for different agendas together. When we speak about police brutality, we need to work together. When we speak about improved education, we need to come together. When we speak about criminal justice, remember that we have more people in jails than universities in this country, and the majorities are Black and Latinos. So we have the opportunity to come together and change this injustice in the criminal justice. we have this opportunity. So when we come together, we receive training together, and we fight together for an agenda that impact us, that is the way how we are going to make a difference.
I mean, I totally agree with you. Communication is key in in a lot of things. I mean, I think it can make or break something. That's for me.
Absolutely.
I am a stickler for that, and I agree with you absolutely. I mean, what would you say to someone, especially, this is common, I think, also in the African communities, as well as I believe also in the Latino communities, where you have even older folks who are so scared of trouble, you know? They think they'll be harassed at the polls, and sometimes they might not even go to the polls because of that fear, that paranoia. What would you say to encourage them to?
I just want to remind what John Lloyd said, like, let's go and do good trouble. Let's go and do good trouble. So that is a good trouble to me. Go and vote. But if somebody is concerned or is scared about this, you have the opportunity to do it by mail. You don't need to leave from your home. Right now is a time that you can request the ballot, you can do it, and you can send it by mail. So you have this great opportunity to do it if you don't want to go there, but you need to vote. It's essential.
But they need to do it early, no procrastination, because if you procrastinate, that's a problem.
So you just said a very important word, because we procrastinate all the time. Oh, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Oh yeah, I'm doing this tomorrow. No, it's not tomorrow. You need to do it today. It's very, very critical. It's the only way how we are going to make a difference. So both for the diaspora in the African community and the Latino community, let's go and come together. Let's go and vote. Let's go and make a difference. Then we celebrate, and then we need to be ready to keep fighting, because winning an election is not enough. Now the time and the work has started to do it. When we have a new president, now we need to force them to make sure that they have the African and the Latino agenda in the top of the issues.
And you know, because since you bring that up, that now brings up the second something regarding more people of color running for office. You know, because yes, and I think that is important for agendas to be placed, because someone once said you can either be part of the menu or be, you know, or part of the discussion table.
People say, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are not at the table, you are in the menu. That is the reality. So you need to be at the table. I just want to put one example. Virginia is a very important example. We decided to invest in Virginia, and we decided that was very important to elect people of color, minorities in the assembly. The lieutenant governor is an African American. We have, for the first time in centuries, we have the assembly that now is huge diversity. We have gay people, black people, Latino people, people of color. Is just unbelievable, the rainbow coalition that we create right over there. But was because people went and vote. Was because people make a decision and say, enough is enough, Virginia. You are the worst state. You discriminate against us. We are going to vote. And you know, right now we started to change Virginia. That is an example that we can do.
Virginia was a red state, renowned as a red state.
Used to be a red state. Now it's a blue state. So we changed that. And it's because our people participate very actively in the elections.
Interesting. I mean, because, you know, there are also swing voters, the independents. What's your message to independent voters?
Well, you guys are very important. You guys, you need to think about what kind of really country you really wanted. Somebody who attack all the time people, somebody who support ultra-right people. You know, he just mentioned that he's supporting this kid who killed 2 people in Wisconsin. It's kind of crazy. So I think that for independence, I am going to tell you, it's your opportunity to make a difference, to elect somebody who is honest and he's a good people. He's a good person and a person who is going to carry out an agenda for the entire country and not only for small members of their own party or community.
Wow. And are you in any way being involved with the training of, poll workers to avoid situations of poorly trained poll workers, or are you aware of what's being done regarding that?
Yes, we are not directly the training, but we collaborate with them, with ACIU, with different universities, with different civil rights organizations. They all the time send polling people to our pollings to make sure that people feel comfortable. Because what is happening right now, as you described before, you know, the senior citizens, they don't feel comfortable because they are going to be harassed. Well, those people are going to play a very important role to protect your vote. So you don't want to do it by mail, you want to be in person, there are going to be people who are going to protect you as well. So we always collaborate with ACIU about these kind of things because it's so very important for our communities.
Oh, Gustavo, it's been a joy having a discussion with you. It's very entertaining. I mean, I would love to know what your closing remarks are leading up to the 2020 elections and anything that you want to share in this moment.
Well, Busi, first of all, thank you so much. I really appreciate for this opportunity that you gave to me today. I really do. And I, again, one more time, want to tell you to the African diaspora, let's go and do this. You have the opportunity to make a difference in this country. 10 million African and Black immigrants right now in this country, plus 45 million Latinos are in this country. Together we can make a huge difference. Together, we can elect a president who is going to respect us. Together, we can make history electing the first Black vice president. Together, we can pass comprehensive immigration reform. Together, we can have much better public education. So today, I just want to ask you one more time. Please, if you are a US citizen, vote. Please vote correctly. Please vote for Vice President Biden, who is an extraordinary human being, and he is going to make a difference in our communities. Vote for Kamala Harris, who is going to be the Vice President. So anyway, it's a great opportunity that we have. It's a great opportunity. And if you need any additional information, you can go to our website, www.casainaction.org. Again, thank you very much for this opportunity. And don't forget, you need to be counted. The census ended in September 30th, and it's your opportunity. Do that for your kids, for your family, for the education and services for your community. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. I would like to thank Gustavo Torres, the Executive Director of CASA, for sparing time to educate us on the important things we need to know about the elections and what we need to know about this election cycle and what we need to know about everything immigration and immigration rights, and for his appeal on calling people to vote, and also calling upon everyone to participate in the census before the September 30th deadline. And I would like to thank you all for tuning in to the African Diaspora Grassroots Voting on Afrique Today. I encourage you all to download our app and to keep bringing on more people to watch this show and spreading awareness about this show. I am your host, Busi Matsiko Anden, and you can follow me on Busi Matsiko Anden on Facebook, as well as Busi Matsiko Anden on Instagram. But I also encourage you to visit our website, AfriqueToday.com. And I can't wait to see you next week at the same time. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Avez-vous besoin de nourriture? Appelez le 311 et demandez le centre d'appel d'accès de nourriture. Notre centre d'appel peut vous mettre en contact avec des ressources telles que Snap qui vous aidera à payer vos courses. Vous pouvez également recevoir de la nourriture et des plats préparés d'organisation de tout le comté. Le personnel du centre d'appel parle plusieurs langues et aide les membres de la communauté en anglais, espagnol, chinois, coréen et dans d'autres langues. Pour plus d'informations, visitez notre site www.montgomerycountymd.gov/covid19-food et vous serez informé des dernières ressources alimentaires. Encore une fois, appelez le 311 pour être connecté au centre d'appel d'accès de nourriture.
Hi, welcome to Afrique Today, the digital TV based in Washington, D.C. I will be your host for this new show, Census in Our Community, and my name is Ruth Nimona. Here you will know everything about the census in Montgomery County. We will have different guests for you on this show, and please stay tuned and watch Afrique Today, the best of digital TV. So we have an amazing guest today on our show, Census in Our Community. The guest we have today is a special guest, and his name is Sean Ellis. Hi, Sean. How you doing today?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm doing really well. Thank you.
Great. So we have amazing viewers who would love to know who are you and how your participation into the census in Montgomery County is happening. So they want to know more about you.
Well, thanks for asking. So my name is Sean Ellis. I am currently serving as a 2020 census manager for Montgomery County, and I actually work out of the County Executive's Office of Community Partnerships. Our office has been tasked with running the entire campaign for the 2020 census. And that's what we've been working on for now over a year and a half.
Wow, that is amazing. So I have a couple of questions for you. So what can you say about the census in a community, and how often do you guys do these programs?
So important to know, the census happens every 10 years. And here in the United States, we've been doing it successfully every 10 years since 1790. So that's a long time. The census is something that's mandated by the Constitution. So it is not something that's optional. It's something that we have to do. But it's really important to not just the residents of Montgomery County, but the residents of counties and states across the entire country.
We'll have other people watching that will want to know, when should people complete their census?
That's a great question. So this year's a little different than any other year in any other census, but the census officially ends on September 30th. So that means that our folks who live here have just over a week to finish it. So we hope that everyone who hasn't done it yet will go and do it today, but if not today, certainly before September 30th.
Great. So this question is very personal to me too. So it have to do with African community. So why should we as African community participate in the census?
That's also another great question. So, specific to the African community, but immigrant communities in general. Um,
Great.
this will be the first time ever that as Africans or as myself, a Caribbean American, we have the opportunity to self-identify who we are. So in previous census, 2010 and in 2000, we had to check a box that said Black or African American. For the first time ever, we have an opportunity to not just write in Black, but now we can write Nigerian, Ghanaian, Kenyan, South African.
Ooh,
In my case, Barbadian or Jamaican or Haitian. That's really, really important. And the reason it matters is it's important to let our local government and those folks who are elected to represent us to know exactly where we live, what numbers we live in, so that when they're
right.
considering new policies and services, they can make sure that they're available to us in linguistically but in culturally appropriate ways. So it's really, really important.
Great. I'm very happy to hear that. So I want to know, what does the county stand to lose if everybody is not counted and if everybody does not participate in the census?
So there's a lot at stake here. So if we back up and talk about why the census matters, it's about representation generally. So the census data is used to determine how many representatives each state is going to get in Congress, right? So that's really important. But as
Right.
important as that, it's about funding. The federal government allocates $675 billion a year to states to fund federal
Wow.
programs. It's a lot of money. It's estimated for every Marylander not counted in the 2020 census, we lose $1,825 per person per year. Over the course of 10 years, that's over $18,000 per person we risk losing to fund really important programs that sustain our education systems, our health providers, roads, Pell grants, Head Start. All these programs are really important to us, are at stake if we don't get the funding we need.
Wow, that is good to know, and we'll have so many people listening to you, and definitely will know how important it is to help participate in a very important program like this. So how can someone get involved to help ensure everyone is counted in the 2020 census?
I'm really glad you asked. So, as I said, we have a week before this ends. The first thing you can do is do the census yourself. And if you have done it yourself, please tell your family members and neighbors, please do the census. The second thing that's happening is this weekend is our last opportunity to go out into our communities and encourage as many households as possible to do the census.
Right.
So this is our census weekend. What that means for us is that we will be out in the community across Montgomery County, in Gaithersburg, we will be in Wheaton, we will be in downtown Silver Spring, we will be in Tacoma Park hosting census events. Anyone who's interested in joining one of our events to work as a volunteer to help promote the census and encourage residents to do the census, I hope will consider doing that. And the way they can actually go about doing that is to visit Montgomery Serves. So it's MONTGOMERYSERVES.org. Visit that website and sign up for one of our events. We should have anywhere between 5 to 10 events available across Montgomery County this weekend for residents to come and join us. We will have giveaway bags. We will try to make it as fun as possible, but we're also adhering to social distancing guidelines. We'll make available masks, fun t-shirts, and hand sanitizers for the event. And we invite everyone who's available and interested in helping us do this work over the next 7 to 10 days to join us.
Great. So I also have this amazing question that I love to know about. So I know you guys have had amazing strategies put together to make sure that you guys achieve your goals more than what you guys did the previous campaign. So how many people have responded to the census compared to the previous campaign?
Another great question. So here in Montgomery County in 2010, 76% of our households responded to the census. That's not bad, not great. That still means that just over under a quarter of the households didn't respond, or at least respond on their own. This time around, considering the pandemic and the difficult moment that we find ourselves in, we've had 77% of our households respond up to this moment. So we've exceeded 2010's numbers, and that we are encouraged about. But we also know that if we know how much money is at stake, that $18,000 over the course of the next 10 years, that's still just over 20% of our households who didn't respond with us. And we know that we need to get that. So while we're excited that we've exceeded 2010's numbers, we also know that there's still work to be done. So we are pushing over the next 10 days to get as many households to consider doing the census as possible.
Great. So we have America is made of Maryland. In Maryland, we have amazing immigrants that they are here, and some of them have documents and some don't. Some are citizens and some are not. So people want to know, do you have to be a citizen to participate in the census?
Absolutely not. What I need everyone to understand is this is not about citizenship. It's not about your status. It's not about your age. It's not about where you live or who you live with. Everyone in this country needs to be counted. So please understand two things. A, if you're a citizen or not a citizen, you need to participate. B, your information is protected. The US government cannot share this information with either local, state, or federal law enforcement agencies. They can't even share this information with property managers, right? So whatever you share on this census questionnaire is private and can't be shared and is punishable by up to a $250,000 fine or 5 years imprisonment. So it is safe. We need everyone to participate. You need to know it has nothing to do with your status.
Great. So as we're getting close to the end of the census, what do we do to engage more African community or Mexican community, different kind of community? So what can they do to engage?
So that's the $1 million question. What we're doing is hosting events outside of our ethnic grocery stores. We're outside of shopping planners, plazas. We are, in this moment, we know a lot of our families, because of COVID, are experiencing food insecurity, having issues either with their jobs or finding food. So we are partnering with local organizations or hosting these food distribution events, and we are distributing information on the census, information on free COVID testing. We're sharing information on voting registration and how to get your mail-in ballot, where you can get a lot of different resources that we know our communities need in this moment. So anyone who is interested, please feel free to share census information that we can make available to you. Share opportunities with your family members, with your friends, people in your circle about why the census is important, how important it's going to be to not just where we are in this moment, but the recovery of Montgomery County and the state of Maryland over the next 10 years to make sure we get back to where we were prior to this COVID.
Right. So people watching you right now will definitely want a one-on-one advice, a one-on-one information that is definitely going to encourage them to go through this 2020 census, and is going to motivate them coming directly from you. So what do you have to tell them today?
What do I have to tell them? What I can say to you is the census has never been more important than it is today, especially for our communities to recover from COVID, and to ensure that all of our communities, whether it's our immigrant communities like my family or my circle of friends that I grew up with, or people who've lived here for generations. So it's important that we encourage them to participate. If you have questions about the census generally, you can visit 2020census.gov and have your questions answered there. If you want to do the census itself, you can visit my2020census.gov and you can answer the questionnaire there in English, and up to 12 other languages you can actually do the census in. And if you want questions for us from Montgomery County and what resources are available, or how we can be helpful to you, you can reach out to me personally or to our office at 2020 census at montgomerycounty.gov. Sorry, Montgomery County, Maryland.gov.
Okay, so you said you guys were going towards the end of the census program. So when should people complete their census? Like when does it end precisely? That the day, the time, those kind of information.
Okay, so it's a little complicated. It's not complicated. So right now, in this moment, the census ends on September 30th. So that's next Wednesday. However, for those folks who've seen some of the announcements in the news, there is a case in California where California is suing the federal government to have it extended. So originally the census was supposed to be extended out to October 31st, and it was shortened by a complete month. And so there's a court case that will be decided hopefully by this Thursday. Will determine whether or not we get an extra month or not. Regardless of what happens on Thursday, my plead is that everyone, especially in our immigrant communities, because we are the folks who tend to be undercounted every time there is a census,
Right.
that you do it today, you do it now, and include everybody who lives in your household. And when I say everyone including in your household, it means not just you and your nuclear family. It means your auntie or uncle who's staying with you because they are staying with you for the next couple months. It means your grandmother who's been living with you for the last 7 months to help you take care of your kids. It is the folks who are renting the apartment in the basement. Everyone in that house needs to be counted, because when we look forward for 10 years from now, think about how the county uses that information to plan for schools. So if we don't know that there was a whole family living in your basement, your neighborhood elementary school may be overcrowded because they just didn't anticipate the number of kids they were going to have to prepare for, right? Or some of our newer developing communities now who've expanded. So we think about the folks who live in Clarksburg or even in East County. If you want a new library or you want a new community center, this is the information that is used to determine who gets that new library and who gets that new community center. So it's really important, if that's the thing, if those are the things that are important to you and that's what you want, or you think your school needs to be expanded, or you need a new school for your community, this is how that happens. So it's really important that you know that, and you make it happen now.
Right. And this is also a question so many people want to know because of the background, like immigrant or somebody that moving to Maryland, and they think their private information should be confidential and they are not safe to giving that kind of information to somebody by the street, somebody by you know. So now I think they want to know, like, can you talk about whether it matters or how the census information is used? Like, how is it used? Because they want to know how their private information is being used.
So what's important to keep in mind is this information is really used to determine two specific things. As I said, it is how many seats each state gets in Congress, and then collectively how much money goes to these states for federal programs. But I want to be clear about a few things as it comes down to confidentiality and the privacy of census data. The Census Bureau is required by law to keep this information confidential. All respondents are protected by law. Under Title 13 of the U.S. Code, this information cannot be shared. And as I said to you earlier, it is illegal to share that personal information with other government agencies, and that includes law enforcement agencies, whether it's state, local, or federal law enforcement agencies, and that includes ICE. So this information cannot be shared with anyone, and it's protected. The individual information is protected for up to 72 years. So we always have this conversation when I teach classes with our volunteers about Ancestry.com, because a lot of us want to look up and see for those folks who've been in this country for a long time, they want to know, oh, well, where did my grandparents or great-grandparents come from? The reason that information is available is through the census data, but you can't get that information for 72 years. So you're not going to see anything from 2000, from 1990, from 1980. 72 years you have to go back before you get to see the information about your grandparents, right? So that's how we know that this information is not available, right? But it's also important that we understand that it's really, really important, but it's protected. You shouldn't feel insecure about how the information is going to be used. And I know a lot of our communities are concerned about that, rightfully so, especially in this moment in time.
Right. So the last one you guys had was at the front of Costco, which I saw a lot of young, courageous boys and girls were very active in the census outreach. So we will have another people. We have so many people that want to participate in this. So when is going to be your next outreach, and where is this outreach holding?
Okay, so this is our last week of really of community events, and we will have quite a number of them. We will be at St. Camilla's Church on Saturday morning on East County, and that's just off of New Hampshire Avenue. We will be back at Wheaton Costco from 2 to 4 on Saturday. So if you're interested in helping us, please join us there. We will be in East County at People's Baptist Church, Community Baptist Church on Wednesday morning from 12 to 2, or 12 to 3, sorry. So if you're available, you can sign up to join us there. We will be in Rockville at Mount Calvary Church at a food distribution there on Thursday. We'll be in Rockville again. We're going to be all over the place. I could list all the places. We'll be in Gaithersburg at the H Mart, just outside of Montgomery Village on Friday afternoon from 12 to 7 in the afternoon. So if you have time and you live up county, please join us there. The full list is on our website, the montgomeryserves.org. If you visit montgomeryserves.org, you can sign up for any of those events. We'd love to have you. We have a week left to get all of our community signed up and participating. I don't have one with me, but we have some really bright, lovely shirts that you can wear.
Yep, I saw them.
And you saw them. So we'll have those. If you're concerned about safety, we'll provide all of the masks you'll need. We have hand sanitizers. We also use huge posters that have not just the message, but also a QR code that any resident can pull out their phone and point at the QR code and be sent directly to the census questionnaire. They can do it there without you having to have a full conversation with them. And if you want to have the conversation, we will help residents do the census on site. So there's a lot of ways we go about ensuring that households participate, but we also want to make sure that in this moment in time, everyone's safe.
Right. So I think people also that can make long drives, people that don't have people that can take them to areas where they can actually do the census. I think they want to know, is there any place closer and convenient areas where they can do it? I know of online, and there are people that can access online because they are not. Technology is good, but not everybody likes it, or not everybody's on it. So where can they go to their closest areas where they can easily carry on their census?
So that's a good question. And it's been a little more difficult than we anticipated it being when we planned this whole thing out. So originally we had wanted to have every library be a place where someone can go to do the census, or even their community centers, but most libraries and community centers aren't open right now. So this is what's available to residents who want help or need assistance. You can obviously visit my2020census.gov to do it online, and you can do it in 12 different languages there. But you can also pick up the phone and call 844-330-2020 and do it over the phone, and they will ask you the questions and you can answer the questions there. You can even, and if you speak French or you speak Haitian Creole or you speak another language, and there are 12 languages you can do it in, you can get assistance over the phone that way. And if you're not available to do it, if you don't want to pick up the phone because you want to do it in person and you're not comfortable going online, as I said, we will be all over Montgomery County. And you can see the list of places where we'll be over the next 10 days by visiting our volunteer center website. And again, that's montgomeryserves.org. And you can see the list of places where we'll be, and we can walk you through the entire census questionnaire. The thing to remember, though, is it's not very long. It takes no more than 5 minutes, depending on how many people live in your household. And the questions aren't that intrusive. They're really just asking your name, the date of birth of the folks who live in the house, whether the house is rented or owned, and then they want to know information about your race and ethnicity. And really, that's just about it.
All right. So, how important, because we have, like I said, how important should people get into this census and take part of it, and how is it going to impact them? We know about the African American community, we know about the Haitian community, we know about the Hispanic community. How is this census going to impact them in their various community? Because we all have heard about census, and people are talking. They're like, oh, yeah, we did it last time, but I didn't see what benefits me. They want to know how it's going to benefit them in their different ethnicity areas.
No, great question. So again, if you are African, if you are from the Caribbean, if you're even from the Middle East, what you need to understand is prior to this time around, there was no opportunity for you to self-identify who you were. And why that matters is that means that Montgomery County has no idea exactly how many Nigerians live in Montgomery County. And think about why that matters.
Right.
If you're going to go to your local official or your local elected official and say, hey, you're not providing my community with services in a way that represent our needs or are appropriate culturally to our needs or linguistically appropriate, but that the data didn't exist before this time around. It is important that we all understand this is our opportunity to place our flag in the ground and say, hey, here in Montgomery County, there are 20,000 Nigerians that live here. It's important that you're making these services available to us in a way that's appropriate to us, or that we need more folks who are providing services to us in a way that's linguistically appropriate. You can't do that if we don't have the information. You can't stand before your county council member and advocate for why it's important that they think about your community specifically, because that information does exist to some extent for the Latino community. And to some extent, obviously, it exists for the African American community. But what didn't exist is, hey, yes, we're all Black, but we're all not culturally the same. So we know that the differences
Right.
between the needs of the African community and the needs from the African American community. And that's the same thing for the Afro-Caribbean community. So it's important that now that we have this opportunity, we stand up, our community stand up and say, hey, we're here, we exist in these numbers, and it's important that you take us in consideration when these policy decisions are being made. And the only way that happens is that we have this data that provides a strong evidence to how important we are in our communities.
That's very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Sean. I've seen the work you guys are doing. It is incredible. I was present, and we all need to go out and vote. We all need to go out and be counted for our census. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being present in this show today.
Thank you for having me.
Hi.
Please go out and do your census and vote. Register to vote.
And
Get your
vote.
mail-in ballots. That's as important as the census. That's next on the list is vote. Register to vote. Order your mail-in ballot because we don't want you standing in lines this year.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching Census in Our Community. This is an amazing show. Stay tuned with us. We have amazing things bringing for you. You are going to be entertained. We're bringing you everything that have to do with our census in our community. So stay tuned to Afrique Today, your digital TV.